Hey guys, Scripture here with another video, and we get this article from Screen Rant, 8 reasons why Star Wars' new ending for The Rise of Skywalker is better than the original. Well, see, this is an issue for me because on the one hand, when they retcon, like when Tony Gilroy retcons the security droids, K2SO's backstory, all the Andor fans and Disney fans are like, woo, yay! And then they say, well, the comics don't matter, and we're glad he changed it. And there's a few other things. I've done videos of where the comics have changed things. And then they say, well, they kind of pick and choose which ones they're okay with, instead of just saying, okay, either the comics are canon or they're not canon. And if they're not canon, what's the point of them? Why do they exist? It's pointless. When people were writing the EU, they weren't thinking in their mind that these were stories that didn't really matter in the greater IP, greater universe of Star Wars. They thought they were part of it. Why would anybody want to write a comic book if it has nothing to do with anything? But of course, in this case, it makes it better, so therefore it matters. And apparently it makes it better. We'll see if it makes it better. Anyway, the whole thing's just a mess. It's a mess. And they're trying to retcon the garbage of Rise of Skywalker with a stupid comic book, while at the same time throwing a comic book in the trash and changing it on screen. So they're all over the place, this company. Okay, so I'm not going to read all the intro stuff, blah, 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 blah. Who cares? So Lando's transmission. So remember when Lando left for like a day or a couple days and somehow came back with 14,000 or whatever it was? I thought it was 10,000. I guess according to this, it's 14,000 different people with not only ships, but starships with capable weaponry on them. Okay. And it made no sense. And you were like, why? How did he do that? It's very silly. And then when you consider Rebels, so in Rebels, Mon Mothma gives a speech from the Ghost that reaches everywhere in the galaxy, or a lot of it. So why did Lando have to leave? Why didn't he just send out a signal from where he was? And furthermore, if he couldn't send out a signal from where he was, if the Falcon wasn't capable of doing that, then what did he do? Like where did he go? He only had like a day or two. So the whole thing is so dumb. But here we go. We're going to make it make sense in this comic book, apparently. He is sending a transmission galaxy-wide to anyone who will listen. Calrissian's call for support is finally heard, requesting all that he can get to help him and aid the resistance against the resurrected Emperor Palpatine's final order. Likewise, a large part of his appeal has to do with the death of Leia Organa. That's interesting as well, because Disney essentially, I think it's in the Aftermath books if I'm not mistaken, the galaxy doesn't really like Leia. They find out that Vader was her dad and then kind of turn on her, and the resistance is actually not connected with the New Republic. It's a separate thing on the side that she started because she was apparently warning them, and then when they found out she was related to Vader, they didn't listen to her. That's, I believe, let me know in the comment section, but I'm like 95% sure that's it. So why would bringing up Leia appeal to a whole bunch of people in the galaxy that don't even know who she is or don't like think she's part of anything? It's just anyways. Confirming General Organa's death, Lando encourages those willing to take up her fight to be the spark of rebellion that can bring down the forces of darkness. Again, that contradicts what the galaxy already did with her, but okay. However, Lando also tells anyone listening that Leia wouldn't want them to fight for her, but for themselves. To that end, Calrissian's speech is quite impressive, better explaining how Lando managed to amass 14,000 ships. Okay, that still doesn't explain how they heard his signal or anything, and it also doesn't explain. Yeah, Leia sent out a call in The Last Jedi, and no one came. So Leia, think of this. So Leia sends out a signal in The Last Jedi. No one cares. No one cares. This is Leia Organa, right? This is the person everyone's supposed to care about. But even though they don't care about her, or they think she's bad because she's related to Vader. Okay, so this whole thing is so messed up. She sends out a signal and no one cares. Which lines up with her reputation that they did in the Aftermath novels, right? And then in this now, to make it, quote, better, a year later, Lando uses the name of Leia to somehow get all these ships That doesn't make sense because they ignored her call when it was actually her, and then he uses her name, and then everyone comes now a year later. Like, hello? This just makes it more convoluted now. This is even dumber. And again, you're not getting that many people in a day. Like, it's like you can just travel from one end of the galaxy to another in like a couple hours now. Like, it's so stupid. So this made it worse. It made it worse. Okay, Finn's force sensitivity, confirming what the movie left ambiguous. It's real. I wasn't sure then, but I am now. I've seen Rey do amazing things. But it's more than that. The way she talks about knowing things, seeing things before they happen. It's been happening to me too. Just hints. But they're real. I haven't figured out how to talk to her about it. Excuse me. Rey's missing. I know. And I know where she's going. So even this, his whole character is just nothing but Rey. Finn's force sensitivity was teased with something he wanted to tell Rey that he never told her before. Yeah, remember that when they were falling in? See, remember they fell into the cave? They went through sand and then fell into a cave directly beneath the sand, but the cave had a ceiling. Remember that? That made no sense. So they went through sand into a cave, and the ceiling was sand, but it was like it stayed there. It made lots of sense. And then while he was falling down, he's like, "Ray, I have to tell you something." And then they just never explained it. They just left it. So it's bad enough that he was apparently hinting at force sensitivity in like the last hour of the last movie. Way to go, guys. Way to take advantage of that possibility. But they also don't ever actually go back and explain it. In the Rise of Skywalker adaptation number 3, giving Finn some additional lines about his suspicions while talking with Janna. As such, this better supports Finn successfully pinpointing the right Star Destroyer during the Battle of Exegol based only on a feeling. Yes and no, though. Like, too little, too late. This doesn't necessarily make it worse, per se, but it surely doesn't make it any better. Like, it's too late. You should have dealt with his Force stuff way earlier. What a waste of time. His character's a complete waste. Actually seeing the Force Ghost, no, that's even dumber, because a lot of these people wouldn't even know how to be Force Ghosts. Doesn't make any sense. In the original George Lucas movies, it was Obi-Wan, it was Yoda, and it was Anakin. None of these other people would know how to do that. Like, Yoda was the one who knew how to do it, and then he showed them, I guess. Anakin to a lesser extent. That one was a little weird, but no, all these people, it makes no sense. Number 5, even more all the Jedi. What? It features far more Jedi than there were voices in the movie telling Rey. Yeah, beyond those whose voices were heard in the film, even more Jedi Knights are present alongside Rey, including Plo Koon, Kit Fisto, and Ki-Adi-Mundi. There are even silhouettes of Jedi in the background, though their lightsabers help identify them as High Republic era. They do? Okay, they're just green and stuff. I don't get it. I don't even see any yellow ones or anything. This is totally stupid, right? Because why did these Jedi not show up and help Luke at any point? Like, I don't get it. And I also don't believe that them and their voices, or even them being there as Force Ghosts, has anything to do with what Rey did. All Rey did was what Mace Windu did, and reflect the Emperor's lightning back into his face. Except the Emperor just kept going until he basically committed suicide, essentially. Like, that's basically what happened. He could have just stopped. But he didn't. He even stops against Windu when it's happening to him. So it's so stupid. So when I watch Rey get the second lightsaber and block the lightning and shoot it back at Palpatine, I'm not even, at that point, I don't even care about the voices. What do they have to do with anything? They don't have anything to do with anything, really. It's just like a symbol. It's like a symbolic waste of time. And then, again, if they were sort of part of whatever she was doing, which it did not appear to be anyway, blocking the lightning, then where was that in the past for any of the other Jedi? Where were these guys? Why didn't they help Luke? Why didn't they do anything? Okay, so anyway, that's super stupid. That just makes it worse. So it just makes everything they do just makes everything worse. 4, Rey and Ben Solo versus the Knights of Ren. What? The ritual begins. She will draw her weapon. Oh, that's Palpatine talking. Yeah, okay. And then she's like, Ben, in her mind, she will take her revenge. And he goes, I'm here, Rey. And with a stroke of her saber, I don't know if this will work. It's like Luke always said, do or do not, there is no try. I don't think Luke said that to Rey, did he? Luke knew Rey for like 2 days. And he didn't train her or do anything. He literally just was a guy. So, I don't really get it. Like, I don't know. All he did was like put her on the rock and be like, what do you see? Insert your feelings. That's just the extent of the training that Luke did for Rey. So, and this actually makes it worse because she says, I don't know if this will work. If you don't know it will work, why are you trying it? See, this is an embodiment of the entire sequel trilogy and the way they handled Rey and training. If you don't know about something being a possibility, how would you know to attempt it? No one told her that you could do this, right? It's the same way nobody showed her how to heal. Nobody showed her how to do a Jedi mind trick 2 minutes after she found out about the Force. After thinking that Luke Skywalker was a myth. Like, this is an embodiment of that. I don't know if this will work. Well, how do you even know it's a possibility that you could do it? No one told you. And if they did tell you, then you would know if it could work. And then at the same time, she just knows stuff and does it. So the whole thing is a complete mess. Oh, but she downloaded Kylo's training because they're a dyad. So so that way only one of them has to train and the other one can sit around and eat wagon wheels and watch TV for years, and then just they meet and that person knows the Force too, and even better than the other person. Like this makes it worse. So there's another one now out of these 8 that made it even dumber and worse. Oh, so dumb. Ben Solo's redemption and sacrifice. Oh, is it better now? Take everything you gave. Take it, everything you gave me. Please, Rey. And then what? And then he's like thinking about stuff. Good thing he looks like me. Shut up. They couldn't have thought of a better response from Leia than just shut up. That's... She would have been way more like witty than that. Very good, Ben, just like that. What is this? No, Ben, thank you. Yeah, he just sees a bunch of stuff from when he was a kid. Or she sees it. She sees his upbringing. Or they both do? Okay. One of the more divisive moments was when Ben sacrifices himself to revive Rey, leading to a kiss between the two before he dies and becomes one with the Force. Interestingly, The Rise of Skywalker number 5 sees Rey getting to experience the full scope of Ben Solo's life as a Jedi. Not only does she receive the memories of Ben's birth to Han Solo and Leia Organa, but also the training under Luke with his Jedi Academy Osis. You know what's funny about that? Luke and Leia don't remember their births. I know that was a screw-up. That's one of the big-time screw-ups that George made when he said that Leia saw her mother. Which they could have easily done. I just still don't to this day understand why George had to have her die during childbirth. Why couldn't she go hide away for a couple years and at least you could say Leia saw her and then she died or whatever. Maybe she just died of just despair because of Anakin, finding out Anakin's now this machine that's, there was a way to do it. I don't know why he did it the way he did it, because it did screw it all up in that sense. But I don't see why Ben would have a memory of his birth that he'd pass on to Rey. Like, how does that work? You know what I'm saying? This is just all cornball, dumb stuff. This makes it worse. Having only known Ben when he was Kylo Ren, Rey getting to see the man he once was and the full life he'd lived certainly emphasizes the moment. Likewise, this moment arguably speaks to their bond as a dyad in the Force. with Rey now carrying Ben's memory and spirit within herself. You know, when you see all that stuff, right, with like his family and stuff, isn't it incredible that Disney wrote in that his entire arc in terms of like being a Darksider is predicated on Luke thinking about ending his life and igniting his lightsaber. Like, that's the whole story. There's nothing else to it. That's it. Because then he went off the deep end and burned the temple down, blah, 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 and took the other kids. That one little thing, that's it. That's his entire story arc. Years of being raised and trained, and it's not like he was a little kid when he did it. Like, I think he was 23, I think is canon. He was like in his 20s when Luke did that. And then that's it. So his entire upbringing, everything just completely, he just throws it all away at 23 years old from that. Like, wouldn't you be like, okay, this is messed up. Dad and Mom, Uncle Luke, like, came in my hut and, like, freaked me out and ignited his lightsaber. Like, I don't know what was going on. Can we do something about this? This is not cool. Like, you would think there'd be, like, something like that, not him just like, I'm burning it down. Like, you think he'd go to his mom and be like, bro, your bro is acting like an idiot. He wouldn't just throw away everything, leave, and then, like, go live with Snoke, who has an armadillo on his head in some plant place. Like, the whole thing is so stupid, and all of it predicated on just Luke igniting his lightsaber. Like, that's so deep, man. What a lame character. Furthermore, it's also interesting to see Ben's internal thoughts and final words to Rey, which weren't heard or known in the original film version. Who cares? A final scene for Luke and Leia. Watching over the Resistance celebrations? They really pulled it off, Luke. Didn't doubt it for a minute. After all, we are what they grow beyond. And then Leia says, you maybe. What's the point of this? Is it because they were like, oh, we had, at the end of Jedi, there was Yoda and Anakin and Obi-Wan, so we gotta do this and have Luke and Leia be Force ghosts with this, watching the celebration. Honestly, this is way better than the Rey Skywalker thing at the end. I would rather have had this, even though it is kind of a lame... I think it actually would have been better if Yoda and Anakin and Obi-Wan were also there, right? Because they're still Force ghosts, but whatever. This one doesn't make it worse. It doesn't make it better. It's just meh. It's kind of corny, but it's not like the worst thing in the world. And then... oh no. We're back to this stupidity. More context for Rey taking the Skywalker name. Oh, man. So she's hearing Palpatine's voice, so follows the last Skywalker. And then, like, she buries their lightsabers in the sand. Like, what is going on? They spent the whole trilogy fetishizing Luke's lightsaber, Anakin's lightsaber, like it was the be-all, end-all of the world. Despite the fact they didn't explain where Maz got it, they like turned that into like this huge deal, and then she hands it to Luke, and then he throws it, and it's like, and then she's using it, and then she becomes a Skywalker. Like, everything's about this stupid lightsaber. Her and Kylo are fighting over it, and then she buries it in the sand. Okay. So stupid. But the new comic also shows her recalling Emperor Palpatine's words on Exegol, so falls the last Skywalker. The implication made in this new Star Wars issue is that part of Rey choosing the Skywalker name is not just an embrace of the Skywalker legacy, but also the final act of defiance of Palpatine himself. Oh, please. The whole idea of Rey kind of makes Palpatine seem incompetent and dumb. Like, bro, you couldn't find her. You're the Emperor. You know? Like, they killed... You got the bounty hunter to kill her parents. But you couldn't go and get her? Like, the whole thing... Like, this trilogy sucks. This comic just makes it worse. It just made it worse. It sucks. Oh boy, what a crappy! Just it's like they're just piling it on. They just it's a big manure pile, and we're gonna try and improve it by putting more manure on the manure pile. Let me know in the comment section what you think. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Always helps the channel. Feel free to check out anything else on my channel. Have yourselves a really good day.